Hi, Robert.
How are you?
How are you? Please come on over.
Very good.
Ruth Porat, our Chief Investment Officer.
Ruth, how are you? Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for being here.
Great.
Ambassador.
Habari, how are you?
I'm very well.
Great. President. Marcus.
Hello. Mark, how are you?
Fantastic.
It took so long, I was wondering.
President, if you want to stand here, we'll have a...
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, well, that's quite a bit.
Great, great.
This was very nice of you to do the flag.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Way better? Hi guys.
Hello.
Very good, thank you very much. Thank you so much for hello, how are you doing? Very good.
Hello, keep on good.
How are you?
Yes. I really nice
From my neighborhood.
Exactly. From
Very
your
good.
neighborhood.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Very good. Hello. Nice to see you. Very good. Hello, how are you? Very good. Tom. How are you, Tom? Thank you. Okay, I will tell her. Tom will say okay, Thank you. Hello. Andrew. Very good. Very Hello. When I saw you sitting there, I saw some Kenyan face.
Oh, you do? I told everybody, I just want the president to like me. We don't believe you. You have to show evidence. So I have to get a...
Oh, this is an instant.
The population of Kenya is equal to the population of California, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington put together, 55 million. But what I find really striking is the rapid evolution of the digital aspects of it. At Microsoft, we have 1,200 partners across Kenya, and some really stand out, and some of those that stand out are here today. One, certainly that you mentioned, is M-Pesa. And it's not just what M-Pesa is doing to just transform financial transactions, which is extraordinary. But we've partnered with the M-Pesa Foundation over the last few years and brought not just digital skilling, but financial skilling to 600,000 small and medium enterprises across the country. The education system, the president mentioned it, is just rippling across Kenya. We've trained 12,000 teachers and reached 1 million students with digital curriculum. And so you're really seeing the foundation for what I think is the long-term momentum that will continue to make Kenya a center, not just in and of itself, but for all of East Africa and all of Africa. And then the last thing I would highlight that I just think is so important is the rule of law. A low standard for taxes with low taxes, that helps. But a high bar for the rule of law, that's an imperative. And Kenya has a modern, innovative constitution. It was written in 2010. It's the only constitution in the world that actually addresses climate, calls for 10% of the country to have tree cover. The presidential election last year was actually of enormous importance, not just to Kenya, but I think to Africa and the world. both because of the election of President Ruto, but because of the example it set for the stable and peaceful transition of power. Yeah. And I would just then say, one of the great things about Kenya is that it has a really strong, healthy, large legal profession, government processes and ministries that work, and that will, I think, help propel the country to do many great things. It's made it much easier for a company like Microsoft to do business, to invest, to grow, and have confidence in the decisions that are made. And I think that, too, is just something that makes it very attractive for any company in the tech sector.
At the Africa Climate Summit held in Nairobi a few days ago, the last remaining skeptics were finally convinced by incontestable facts that Africa is the next frontier of a new industrial revolution. At close to 1.5 billion people, nearly a fifth of the world's population is African, meaning that approximately 1 in every 5 people globally is African. What is more, Africa is extraordinarily a young continent with a median age of 19. Thanks to decades of painstaking investment in human capital development, our youth are educated, skilled, and highly motivated to make their contribution to economic and cultural transformation and ready to work globally as a global workforce. Africa remains famous for its abundant endowments of natural resources of a wonderful variety, ranging from mineral resources, including critical minerals required for transition into clean and green industrialization, to the world's largest available tracts of arable and cultivated agricultural land, as well as carbon sinks. Together with green energy generation potential from solar, hydro, geothermal, and as you heard Meg say, wind power. In fact, the largest wind farm in Africa is Turkana wind farm that is in Kenya. Only capital and technology in the form of ready, affordable, and adequate investment stand between Africa's potential and its destiny. Underdevelopment and industrialization, and between poverty and prosperity, a youth time bomb and a democratic dividend. This is the context from which I speak to you at America's, if not the world's, technology capital here in San Francisco. The idea that Africa stands in need of its own tech capital isn't new, or it's not even wishful thinking. For decades, thinkers have tossed around the idea of a space and culture dedicated to the development and expansion of technology companies, products, and innovations in Africa. This is not only consistent with the philosophy of the Africa we want and the Pan-African ethos of African solutions for African problems, it also envisions an Africa capable of harnessing technology to thrive by providing localized solutions in a dynamic, strategic, and operational environment, exploiting its unique endowments and capacities, and powering regional and continental integration and transformation to unlock our shared prosperity, not just in Africa, but globally as well.